It's known that dogs are called man's best friend. Well, what about man's second best friend? I mean, they weren't the first, who cares about that? But today, they're one of the most popular pets in the world, and I thought maybe, they're equally as important, they're equally as cute. Maybe not as many people like them as much, but they're still man's best friend. So, today we're talking about cats. So, why cats? Why suddenly cats? Well, I thought I like cats. I like dogs and cats. I'm not like one-sided in any type of way. I like them both. Would I have both? Yeah. Would it be chaotic? Yeah. But I like cats and dogs equally, I'd say. So, I just thought it's pretty fascinating that we don't know much about the ancestors of cats. Because, the fossil record's kind of sparse on their side. There's not much to see on their side. There's not a lot. We can't really infer much. We can't really see what ancestors they had. So I thought it'd be pretty interesting to talk about. So, I think dogs were domesticated like 20,000 years ago, whereas cats were domesticated, like around 11,000 years ago. Like, the origins of domestic cats date back to 11,000 years ago. But I mean, some of the earliest instances of domestic cats would be in Egypt, for example. So, in like 4000 BC, Egyptians like to keep cats to reduce the presence of pests because they're a large, like, cultivating community. Obviously, with the large amount of crops and everything, they're gonna attract rats and stuff. So, yeah, that attracted a lot of cats, and over time they became domesticated. And the thing is, I really love the Egyptian Mao. Like, I like the cat breed. I think it's one of the oldest cat breeds in the world. Let me have a check. Hold on. Yeah, it is. It is the oldest cat breed in the world. Um, and that was from like 4,000 years ago with the Egyptian mouse. And then, but then some what would you call them? Archaeologists, historians, I think archaeologists, hypothesize that the domestication of cats began like 10,000 years ago, actually, in the Middle East, where humans began to cultivate crops, which obviously attracted a lot of pests like rodents, other small mammals, which in turn attracted many ancestors of modern day cats. And so, as a result, with continuous human interaction, they became domesticated and more docile. So, yeah, that's the rundown of the history of domestication of cats, but that's not why we're here. That's not why we're here. We're here to talk about how, like, we're not just talking about domestic cats, we're talking about the entire family. The big family of cats. We love the big family of cats. I think, yeah, definitely. The most iconic would be African lion. Definitely. Other iconic ones. Leopard, cheetah, jaguar. I think that's about it. Snow leopard, less iconic. It's like, it, is it the big cats? It can't roar. So I love the big cats, genuinely, and all the other cats. I love the entire family. All right, so yeah, they're one of the oldest domesticated organisms in the world. probably second after dogs. In the future, I might look into a podcast about the domestication of dogs. That would be interesting, I think. So, currently, a lot of experts argue that there's 37 species in the Felidae family. So, the family of felines, the family of cats, which includes the domestic cat. The earliest cat species that's found in the fossil record, so there might be earlier ones, is Pseudoloris, which over a long period of time underwent a lot of evolution and differentiation into different species, which then in turn turned into the cats we know today. And at that time, they were adapted to hunt small mammals, insects, and birds. Other feline species, it's not just Pseudoloris. Other feline species were also adapted to hunt the same prey. So yeah, it was quite diverse, but the fossil record was also quite sparse, and so you can't really. It's pretty difficult to see like the ancestry and the phylogeny of the felines. And today, modern cats probably descended from one of the Pseudoloris species found in Asia, which underwent quite a lot of migration, but I'll get into that soon. Well, yeah, soon. So, 25 million years ago in the Miocene, feline species experienced important speciation, so like the formation of new species, where large saber-toothed tigers appeared, as well as modern felines. And then in the late Miocene, 10 million years ago, modern feline species differentiated. So there were new species, subspecies, and different breeds. So it's quite a lot. So for example, there's Panthera. So I think that's a family for lions. Yeah. Panthera leo. Yeah. Leopards, tigers, pumas, wildcats, and ocelots. And then 9 million years ago, in the late Miocene as well, felines migrated from Asia to Africa. So that would probably be the Pseudoloris. And that contained the precursor of caracal lineages. So caracals, I don't know how to pronounce them. It always sounds weird in my head. But they are primarily, like, they're like medium-sized, restricted to Africa. They're pretty distinct, and recognizable because they've got long limbs, they can jump. I think, yeah. Yeah. They're they're pretty adapted to hunting in tall grass, so, jump, they're actually pretty tall, yeah. Jump, they hunt quite a lot of birds. I think there's a serval, caracal, no idea how to pronounce it. But yeah. And then, from Asia to Africa, there was a caracal lineage. North America, and it also migrated to North America. I think through the Bering Strait, yeah. Which include the precursor of puma, ocelot, and lynx lineages. So puma, mountain lion, ocelot. The way I like to think about it is that they're mini versions of jaguars and leopards. In some ways, I think they're pretty cute. I quite like the clouded ocelot. I love them. They're quite nice. And then later onto South America. Because, I mean, they went to North America first and then down to South America. And that also included the ocelot lineages. Love ocelots. Actually love ocelots. And yeah. And then over a long period of time, there turned out to be 8 lineages. So we've already talked about Panthera, Caracal, Ocelot, Lynx, Puma. But there's also Bay Cat, which is pretty small, I'd say. They live in forested areas in tropical Southeast Asia. And for example, I think the Asian golden cat is a bay cat. And then there's a fishing cat. That's also a bay cat, I'm pretty sure. And then there's another lineage for the Asian leopard cat, where they're pretty small as well. And they have like a wide range of habitats in Asia, which range from mangrove forests to the Mongolian steppe. So that's pretty diverse. And finally, we have the domestic cat, which, I mean, worldwide. And honestly, one of the most invasive species ever, because humans bring them everywhere. And that just ruins the environment of one place. And so, yeah, pretty interesting. And I'd like to go back on what I said before. Remember when I said something about how snow leopards can't roar? They actually can roar. Apologies for my mistake. They can roar. Lions, tigers, jaguars, and leopards can also roar. Because they have a ossified bone in their throat called the hyroid, which makes the unusual vocalizations possible. And so other cats, such as the cheetah, can't roar. Instead, the cheetah meows, literally. About the cheetah, their ancestors originated in North America, but then with the Pleistocene extinction, they kind of just migrated away, whereas other big felines in North America, such as American lions, saber-toothed cats, and other pumas, except for the modern day ones, became extinct, whereas the cheetahs escaped extinction because several million years earlier, like several million years before the Pleistocene extinction, they were able to migrate back to Asia through by walking over the Pacific Ocean with the Bering Strait. And so as a result, that brought a lot of genetic diversity to the Felidae Felidae family in Asia, and the precursor of leopard genetics bloomed in Asia to form the Asian leopard cat, as well as other lineages, as well as from the other lineages that brought along a lot of felines into Asia, which honestly, Asia is quite diverse in felines, I'd say. So, for example, there's a lot of small species that are found today in Asia. So, for example, in India, there's a rusty spotted cat. In Mongolia, there's a Pallas cat, which is so cute, so fluffy. If it gets really cold, it will wrap its feet around and step on. It will wrap its tail around and step on its tail to prevent it from being colder. Some insulation between the paws and the ground. So cute. There's also Indonesia's flat-headed cat and also the fishing cat, which I talked about before. And then during this period of, the cheetahs moving back to Asia, there was also a diversification of big cats in Asia. So, for example, there was a great panther lineage spread in Asia where massive tigers would range throughout southern eastern Asia. So Indonesia, Indochina, the Sunda Shelf and China, which was where some of these tigers would be. So today I think there's a lot of subspecies of tigers that are extinct. So, for example, there's the Caspian tiger. I think there's a Java tiger as well. There's a lot that have gone extinct because of human interaction. And I have to say it, colonialism. Colonialism played, I think, quite a large part. So, I mean, for example, Indonesia was colonized by the Dutch. Um, and so as a result, because the Dutch wanted a lot more farming land, a lot more cultivation, um, there was a lot of competition with the native tigers because they're encroaching on their territory and habitat, and so as a result, a lot were poached and killed. And I feel like been pretty that's been seen across, different areas. So, yeah, Java tiger is gone, Caspian tiger is gone. Yeah, I wouldn't boil all the reasons down due to colonialism, but I'd say it's a big reason. And then um apart from the diversification of Panthera in South and Southeastern Asia, there was also the development of snow leopards in um Western and Central Asia, where they became more adapted to higher latitudes. So, for example, the Himalayas and the Altai Mountains. Um, and so, yeah. And then, because of a lot of pressures, other cats migrated to different areas, and they found those areas to be more hospitable than Europe, Asia, or the Americas. So I'm talking about Africa. So, for example, Caracal lineages went there. Panthera lineages went there. Cheetah um lineages went there, and they all migrated to Africa. Pretty hospitable there. And to be honest, I think um at this rate, at no here like this might be a little bit of a hot take, but at this rate, cheetahs should have been extinct because in the wild they're quite inbred. When they I think when they moved to Africa, there were like so few individuals. They were at a genetic bottleneck, so genetic diversity just kind of narrowed down. It narrowed down to be so thin that there's practically no genetic diversity. There's no heterozygosity. So that's like we're getting to biology here. So um um a phenotype, so a physical feature of something, is always determined by two alleles. So one allele could be, so let's say capital C and lowercase c. So if it's capital C and lowercase c, that is heterozygous. If it's small c, that's homozygous. And so generally speaking, you want heterozygosity for a lot of genetic diversity. And as a result of inbreeding, a lot of the cheeses had homozygosity, which is not good because you're more likely to have a lot of recessive diseases and attributes that, aren't good for survival. And at this rate, a lot of the cheeses should have been extinct by now. Just saying. Just saying from a biological perspective. And I think that's quite interesting that they survived along with more genetic diverse cats in their vicinity, and I think that's quite interesting to point out. But yeah, they're quite inbred. they're really inbred, and yeah, I think that might be it actually. Not gonna lie, I don't have much left. So, thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you guys next week.